What's up, Devrick? How you doing out there, people? Welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Houston Rockets, presented by the Houston Roundball Review. Still no sponsor. The season ends tomorrow for the Rockets. Once again, still no sponsor. That is an issue going forward that I hope to correct because without sponsors, man, I can't do this stuff for free. And I won't do this stuff for free. That's being real. Solo Dilo, how you doing? It's been about 5 weeks since I did a Rocket show. More time with the Cougs. Got some good news to share, finally, related to the Houston Roundball Review and YouTube and the Houston Roundball Review Media Group. Share that tomorrow on Folks Talking Sports. We'll start the show at 6 p.m. Central Time. But these last few weeks, folks said they're going to sponsor, didn't sponsor. Folks expect me to do stuff for free. I'm not 12. So that's not, those days are over. I'm not doing stuff for free anymore. Trust and believe. Well, I've done it for free in a while. Justin, how are you? Go on, how are you? Good to see the family still here, still supporting me in the Houston Roundball Review. I don't get you guys' thoughts on it. What's the mood? The Rockets have played better these last few games. They won 2 in a row. They're 8-12 with Jalen and Scoot these last 20 games together. What's the mood? What's the vibe? What are y'all feeling going forward this off season? Y'all know where I stand regarding Mr. Harden and coming back here. Doesn't make sense for the long-term stability of the franchise. Might be a short-term hit, but I just don't see it. I just don't see it long-term. Past 4 or 5 years, I just don't see it being a benefit. Derrick, NCAA men's tournament was a surprise. Salute to UConn. 5 championships in 25 years. Salute to them. As a UH alum, that irks me. They got 5, and my alma mater has 0 still. But hey, salute to them. Justin, yeah, I don't think Stephen Silas will be back. I'll be shocked. Last year of his contract, got a team option for the next season. I doubt it'll be picked up. Although 21-60 is one more win the last season, so that's improvement. Tillman Fertitta said in the summer that he wanted to see the team win more than last season. Well, 21-20, that's improvement, but I doubt it's enough to keep Stephen Silas around. I think he'll be gone. I think he knows that as well. Steve Vander says, "Pray for Victor." That's the phrase. That was a term that Tillman said. Where was he at? Was that New Orleans when he made that comment? Well, it was a guy. Maybe around Mardi Gras, right? I think. Jamon. I saw KPJ will miss tomorrow's game, so he won't get the 60-game bonus, which opens up a little bit more cap room this summer for the Rockets. But we're not going to spend too much time on it. But once, man, I did it in the YouTube short today. Folks, fans, NBA fans, Rocket fans, Maverick fans. Organizations, not players, tank. Organizations decide who to sit, when to sit. And what the Mavs did Friday night, man, if that does not show y'all that organizations make that decision to tank, man, whoo, plain as day. When I try to keep that pick from going to the Knicks. But hey, see, how does KPJ playing 60 games make the incentive unlikely to be achieved next year? Hey, his people agreed to that little bonus clause. I mean, clearly they didn't believe he'd miss so much time with any injury, and the toe injury was much more severe and serious than anyone thought initially. And now, hey, 59, 60, not gonna make it. But C Wood, how you doing, my man? How you doing up there, Maverick fans? Well, we could go back in time and screenshot any of these things, and all the folks who said, Maverick fans said, boy, Chris Wood's he's a big boom. He's gonna help the Mavs and blah, 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 and this, that, and other. And Rocket fans and Rocket media. Yeah. Y'all gonna find out. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. But what are your thoughts on it? Detroit has wrapped up the worst record in the NBA, which means they won't pick worse than fifth in this 23 draft. Rockets Spurs, what is it? 1 game difference. Rockets lose tomorrow. Spurs win. But does it matter to you guys if the Rockets have finished risk getting the landing in the sixth spot in the lottery in the draft or in the lottery or seventh spot? Does that make a big deal to you? I think honestly, if it's Rockets don't get first, second, or third, they're going to trade a pick anyway. So, but what do you think about that? Detroit was tanking, but they were injured too. And I mean, hell, Cade got hurt and had surgery in December. So their season was pretty much over at that point. And then everybody else got hurt. Isaiah Stewart got hurt. Jalen Duren got hurt. Bogdanovich got hurt with the Achilles issue. And once they kept him and didn't trade him, they weren't going to play him the rest of the season because why? He might risk make the injury worse by playing him. So that, they were pretty much done after the trade deadline in February. So I expected. But what do y'all think? 6, 7, if the Rockets don't get top 3, should they trade the pick and get a veteran? I'm going to talk about this. KDC, what's up? Good to see you. Bring this up right here. Oh, let's see. How can I do this? How can I say this? How should I phrase this? Unlike, and it's not their fault, it's not their job, many of the Rocket beat writers, they did not see Jarris Walker as much as I saw Jarris Walker. They cover the Rockets. I cover the Cougs, Rockets, and other teams in and around the area. Jarris Walker has a lot of upside. Jarris Walker also struggles to finish around the rim with his floater. Too many floaters. The 3-point shot we saw in practice that he knocked down a lot, didn't see him do that consistently in games. So he's got potential. I'm not sure how much, if at all, he makes the Rockets better in the front court. If they end up with the 6th or 7th pick in the draft. Upside, yes. How much upside help the Rockets? I'm not as certain. I'm not like my man JL3, James L. Edwards, who covers Detroit for The Athletic. He's very high on Jarris. I'm not as high on Jarris as some folks. I'm not as high on Jarris as some draft folks. But upside, yes. But top 3, outside of that, I think the Rockets should trade the pick and get a veteran. Because this team is still going to be young and just don't see a benefit of them adding more youngsters going forward. But KDC, with your gripe here, I think that's more coming from Tillman and Rafael Stone playing guys. Hornets went deep into their reserves, and hey, the Rockets in a tough spot with their youngsters. You want to try to build some confidence, build some chemistry. After Friday's win over the Hornets, saw, read, heard Al P, Jalen, Scoot. We're building chemistry. we're we're getting better together. We're learning how to win together. So that they believe in their core. They believe in this core four. What do you guys think of the core four? Scoot, Jalen, Jabari, and Alpy. So, wise citizens, how are you? So yeah, y'all tell me. This is fan interaction on the show. Like I said, if you missed it earlier, finally have some positive news to share for the Houston Roundball Review, and we'll share it Sunday on Folks Talking Sports. And we're going to talk more college sports and Cougs and play in, play off, NBA, all that kind of stuff as well. But so and see, KDC brings up a point about beating Hornets third unit G League guys. That's the issue. Sorry, the Hornets did it to themselves. The Hornets beat the Mavs twice. The Hornets beat Detroit down the stretch. The Hornets won one game down the stretch that folks did not think they'd win. So that's on them. The Hornets locked up, solidified the Mavs situation, and sped up the Mavs tanking Friday night. That's the Hornets. The Mavs lost to the Hornets in twice in 48 hours, something like that. That's the Mavs' fault. So, hey, Solo says KPJ would be an awesome six-man. Justin wants to know, do I think they'd get rid of LP if they get Victor? In due time. Yeah. In due time. So the core four, if the Rockets win the lottery, get the first pick in the draft, starting five, projected starting five. Would you want Victor to be the 7'4" 3-man and have Victor, Alp, and Jabari? Do you want that? KJ Martin would have been happy with that. He won't like that. I still believe Tari Eason's best for a bit role is coming off the bench. I believe that. Stephen, I've heard Jaylen Brown rumors to anybody with cap space. Detroit, Rockets, pick somebody. But with the cap, the new CBA, and once it's ratified, I believe, Victor's not a 5. Nope, a C part. Victor's not a 5. No. Defensively, he can help side defense like that, but banging down low, don't see it. He's not that, not at all. But once the cap space and cap room goes up, it benefits players like Jaylen Brown and teams you have like Boston because they have more room to afford his salary raise. So that's one thing. The new CBA, it seems like it's really geared toward teams who have stars and will enable them to keep them and pay for them going forward. For the most part, that's a good thing. You just got to have young stars already on your roster. So, salute to Boston. But Jaylen Brown, he's happy in Boston. He just wants to get paid. And the new CBA should allow Boston to meet his salary demands. But let's see. Yep, I don't believe Victor's a 5. No, 3, 4. But what would you fans, you guys tuning in to Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel, Let's Talk Houston Rockets, Wemby, Jabari, Alp, which I like that front court tandem. Or would you like Wemby, Jabari, KJ Martin, that front court tandem? And if you had that tandem, Alp's coming off the bench. Would Alp be good with that? And for how long would he be good with that? So Victor provides flexibility. James, how you doing? KDC likes Jabari, Wemby, Şengün, Tano. I think it's very versatile, offensively, defensively. In that scenario, I think Jabari would be better will get stronger, will get bigger, and could defend some of those bigger fives. None of them, you could put LP on some of the bigger fives as well, but none of them are ideal bangers against dudes like Joel Embiid or Joker. But they could give them problems on the other end. So the versatility would be there. Solo says, if we get Wemby, would he be a franchise guy? If his skill set lives up to the hype, yes. Because I've said it here on other Let's Talk Houston Rocket shows. I'm not convinced Jalen Green is that guy. I think he's gotten better with the leadership. His skill set is still, we can all see it clearly. He's gotten better offensively as a facilitator. But I don't know about franchise guy. Be hell of number 2, if you got Wemby or someone like that. But Wise Citizen says we don't need Wemby. Go all in on with Şengün development. Trading back to pick 2 or 3 for a large haul. Wow, interesting. Okay. And Wise Citizens, why do you say that about with Şengün development? Are you convinced his defense, he's gotten better defensively the last month or so, communicating on defense, being more active and aggressive on defense? So you believe that this LP we've seen these last few weeks on defense is the LP the Rockets will get going forward. Is that what you're saying? Could be. I want to. Okay, Jamon says we need Wemby for fan base morale. Go on says KPJ should stay as point guard. How many fans agree with that? Because if it's a lot or majority, that's a change. Because for a while, fans didn't believe in KPJ as point guard, starting point guard. Hell, I didn't agree with KPJ as starting point guard. He's gotten better. Could you, if you got to upgrade at the position, I think it'd still be best for him and the franchise going forward. But Scoot says he is the Houston Rockets point guard. KDC says he thinks the point guard experiment is over. So are y'all saying that the James Harden talk is over? Because if James comes to the Rockets, he's going to run offense, right? Won't that be the case? Does anybody here watching want James Harden here with the Rockets? This version of James Harden? This older version of James Harden? This older, still high salary James Harden? So hit me up with that. Let me know. Jamon, we're going to trade in Scoot for another Scoot if you get the number 2 pick. So any point guard will do. Someone who can set the table. So KDC, so you're not believing in Kevin Porter Jr. as the Rockets point guard of the future. You still believe the Rockets could do better at point guard as a table setter. Is that what you're saying? He's gotten better. His assist to turnover ratio has improved as the season has progressed. I'm with Ulam. I don't believe James will be here. Will come to Houston. But, Ecos is very connected to the franchise. 7 out of 10 chance. I haven't asked him if that has changed, gotten higher or lower. But James here, I just don't believe Harden here makes these Rockets a championship contender in the next 3 years. 2 years for sure. But James comes here. Tillman wants to sell tickets, wants fans. How about that? Who was it who said it? Who was it? Who said morale? Who mentioned morale? Jamon. If James Harden returned, that's a good question. If James Harden returned to the Rockets, would he boost Rockets fans' morale? What do y'all say about that? If James Harden returns, would y'all be happy about Harden's return? Or have y'all not, and we'll never forget what he said before he left and forced his way out of the organization? Wise Citizen says go after Fred VanVleet or Chris Middleton, guys who played on championship teams. I don't see Chris Middleton coming here. Fred VanVleet might be, maybe. But with those guys, Chris starting to get more and more banged up. But Fred is a little bit too. Would you want would you want high price veterans on this team instead of mid-tier veterans who cost less, still provide veteran leadership, and still impact winning? Now, Solo says he wouldn't mind having back on the team. Talking about James Harden. Let's see. Asleep says if 76ers max him out, he's staying. TJK Penny says, be happy to have him back, but I think he's a bad example for our youngsters. This is a good point. Very good point here, KDC, which leads me into another topic. If Rockets get Nick Nurse, Fred VanVleet might be more enticed. What I think about that? Two of the coaches mentioned as the next head coach of the Rockets, Nick Nurse and Ime Udoka. Do y'all believe either of those would be upgrades over Stephen Silas? Steve Hernandez says after the way he left the Rockets, referring to Harden, he doesn't want to see him back. If he was 4 years younger, it'd be a different story. Well, yeah. Brandon says we could just use DJ Augustine instead of spending bread on Fred VanVleet. Fred is a better player than DJ. but hey, open for Kenny Atkinson. Justin has that. TJ says anyone is an upgrade at this point. If Udoka can bring Jaylen Brown, he's all in. Y'all got attachments to the coaching hire. Nick Nurse, VanVleet, Jaylen Brown with Udoka. Well, hey, we shall see. James said he's choosing Harden over Fred VanVleet. Y'all good with that? No brainer. All right, James. Do you believe Harden would make the Rockets? How much better do you believe this Harden would make the Rockets for the next 2 years? Play in, top 4 in the West. What? So, I'm just curious to see what it is. What you think, where your mindset is as Harden. Harden is better, probably costs more. That's for sure. Yep. Dylan Brooks, too. New mentality. You really think the Rockets need him, though? Dylan Brooks, yeah, he's tough. But, I think Tari Eason, they got some guys who can do that, Solo say, now, see, I think you're going to have folks who disagree with this. Rockets be a play-in team with Harden. If that's all, you damn sure don't want him. You don't need him on the team. If that's all the Rockets are going to be with Harden, what do I say to that? Play-in with Harden. Wise Citizen says, bring me CP3 back before Harden. Kind of surprised that people, not as many folks want James back as I thought. Harden with someone else. Would have to be Harden with someone else, top talent only, because we're done after that. All right. Kyrie, boy, I do not see Kyrie coming here. Mark Cuban says he wants to re-sign Kyrie. Boy, Kyrie's going to ask for a lot of money. And Kyrie's sure looks like he's wearing out his welcome in a lot of places. But we shall see about Kyrie and how much money he wants from Dallas. Harden will make the other Rockets, young Rockets, better. Really? Will he? And because James coming back to Houston, James still likes to party. This is his town. This is his city. He still has those connects. So would he return to Honey Bun James once he comes back to Houston with the Rockets? And would that be what you want for the young Rockets? A lot of folks I talked to said, "Hell no, they don't want James Harden here to do that with these young Rockets." We'll see. Harden has done a better job, but Philly ain't Houston. Philly ain't his town. Houston is James's town. Okay, so it's a little different. He doesn't have the connects in Philly like he has here in Houston. And y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay, the club connects. So it's a good question. You need to ask Fagan about this one because it was discussed. I asked Jonathan about it. Man, when was that? About the practice facility. Wow, November or so, and nothing much came of it about the new practice facility. So when they have media availability for end of season, I'll try to ask him. But it is time for an update regarding the new practice facility without question. Tillman's got money now to bid on the woeful, sorry-ass Commanders, so he's got money for a new practice facility. So good on you, Wise Citizens, to bring that up again. So I will try to do that myself and ask that question get an update on that one. Bellotto pick. So yeah, let's go with Brandon F. And give me your scenario, Brandon. What is a worst case, best case scenario if the Rockets get Wemby? Would you want Harden with the Rockets? If the Rockets get second pick, Scoot Henderson, or do you want them to go with Brandon Miller at the 2 pick? Is which of those three, Scoot, Brandon, Wemby, do y'all believe is the best fit with Harden and the Rockets, and the worst fit for Harden and the Rockets? So this, hit me up with that. Think about it. Brandon Miller, assuming his background is clean, because I know, trust me, the NBA and the investigators are looking over his people and his background with a fine-tooth comb and see if there are any other poor decisions in his life. Justin says Harden makes big men look better. He created miracles for Capella to get paid. Rim running bigs. It's a good thing. It's still a positive there. So that's a Wemby. Sleep says I trade second pick for Jaylen Brown if we get Harden. Are y'all good with that? Brandon is like another person. Does I believe the Rockets need Wemby? Amen Thompson is cool. That wasn't one of the 2 names I mentioned, but okay. Interesting, because for let's see, where was it? Tuesday. Rockets Nuggets. In conversation, another person told me that no, this was Monday at the Final Four. We were talking about the Rockets and did not believe the Rockets needed Wemby. I was like, wow, okay. And this person was serious. I was like, okay. It's interesting how, as time has passed, I'm starting to hear people, fans on here, who believe that the Rockets do not need Victor Wembanyama. I don't know if y'all are trying to prepare yourselves in case the Rockets don't win the lottery, or you just don't believe the Rockets need him here, his skill set. But Brandon, convince me. Come on, man, convince me. Give me your rationale why you don't believe the Rockets need Victor Wembanyama. So yeah, give me just curious. Give me your rationale for him. Well, if they get Wemby, I think you joined it a few minutes into the show. I toss out there the starting lineup of Wemby, Jabari, and Alp. Wemby can guard the three. Those long arms, they take up a lot of length for help side defense. Jabari, I think, will grow into be able to defend some of the bigger fives. The versatility for those three dudes up front, offense and defense, would be nice. And let me ask you all this, because I'm kind of curious, because I remember during this season, earlier parts of this season, we discussed this, and there were some fans who were fine with trading Alp if the Rockets got Victor Wembanyama. You trade Alp for an impact veteran. Has Alp's play been so much better lately on defense that now y'all don't want to trade him? Has that much changed? So, well, yeah. So, Brandon, let's go with that. Would Alp be good with coming off the bench? In that scenario, I think for the short term, yeah. And just think how much better the Rockets overall are when you got Alp coming off the bench. That's a strong squad if you got a guy like Şengün coming off the bench who's happy and focused with that role. Unlike his Alp defenders, some of the media who just think he can do no wrong. But so, Victor, Jabari, both are fours. Victor's a different kind of four. He's long and his arm's so long, and his help side is recovery is so much better that at some point he could defend because of his length, defend a lot of different positions because of his versatility. So, and then match, drop coverage. I mean, his length is his arm is so long. He can recover. Drop coverage wouldn't be that much of an issue for him. So we'll see how it all translates to him in the NBA. KJ Martin. That is the question. KJ Martin clearly would want to start and would not be happy with coming off the bench if the Rockets decided to go with that gigantic front line of Victor, Jabari, and Alp, which I think would lead to, for the betterment of the team's depth, just bringing Alp off the bench and start KJ instead. That'd be a tough problem to have, man. KD is a 7-footer. Yeah. And Victor's taller than that. So, yeah. Victor does not want to play 5, and long term, he's not a 5. He's not gonna play 5. Physically, he's a help side defender. Very rarely would he be stuck on defending 5s. Very, very rarely. Detroit got theirs. Orlando got theirs. What are you talking about? The top pick, James Tryon. So it's just The lottery is, what is it, May 16th, I believe? Right? I think that's right. Yeah, May 16th. So we're 5 weeks away from that. Brandon, what's it all? There you go. This is for the fans. Right there. Brandon wants to ask a question. If the Rockets win the lottery and get Victor, why do you want Jaylen Brown or James Harden? Y'all answer Brandon's question. Yeah, that's for y'all. Yeah. It depends on what happens in the lottery, clearly. If the Rockets don't get 1, 2, or 3, then I think with the pick they end up with 4, 5, or 6, then you could and should entertain trade packages involving Jaylen Brown for Jaylen Brown. I think that's the thing. But if the Rockets win the lottery, do y'all believe Rockets still need Jaylen Brown? So I mean, honestly, if the Rockets win the lottery, where would you put Jaylen Brown? And I guess y'all are saying clearly Jaylen Brown is upgrade over KJ Martin. Okay, but what you're saying is Rockets get Victor Wembanyama. So where would Jaylen Brown start? It'd be Jaylen Brown. Would it be Jaylen Brown, Jabari, and Victor? And you'd have Jabari at the 5? Would y'all want that? You don't want Victor at the 5. Would you want Jaylen at the 2? And then what are you going to do with Jalen Green? So, because like I said, if the Rockets, oh, Devrick, they would draft Victor. Oh, no, they would draft him. They would make other trades to make everything fit, but they would still draft Victor Wembanyama. Oh, yeah. Detroit would do that. Yep. Oh, yeah. Brandon says he's sticking with it. The Rockets don't need Victor. So this is fun to discuss. A lot of ifs. We'll find out on May 16th for sure. But PG, Brown, Jabari, Wemby, Şengün. You win the lottery, you get the best player available. Yes. And then you go from there. Then you take those phone calls and let's do trade offers. Yes. But saying all that, I still would be shocked if anybody, any scenario, never say never, been wrong long enough to know that, if a team trades the rights to what many agree is a generational talent in Victor Wembanyama. I'd be stunned. Never say never. But anybody would trade the draft rights to Victor Wembanyama. And that'd be a hell of a trade. A hell of a trade. We shall see. If the Rockets don't get Victor, Justin would be fine with Brandon Miller. Put that up there. KDC says Rockets so bad right now, we're still in best player available mode. Fit can come later. Do y'all agree with that? And Brandon says he's fine with taking the phone calls. But yes, it have to be to trade for what most of the NBA believe is a generational talent would have to be a generational trade. Question, who is it? Yeah, let me go back. Where was it? Miller over trading for Brown. What do y'all say to that? Y'all good with that? Rockets get Brandon Miller and not trade for Jaylen Brown. In that scenario, the Rockets picking first, second, or third to get Brandon Miller. Third, obviously. Well, second or third, because some folks, there's now a debate discussion about who goes second. Say, so that's a question right there. If the Rockets get one of those three players, is there still a need? Y'all still want Jaylen Brown? So that's what I'm asking y'all. If the Rockets get Victor, Scoot Henderson, or Brandon Miller, do y'all still believe the Rockets should get Jaylen Brown? KDC says yes. Blizzard Man says no. Brandon F says need a top 5 player and 3 firsts for Victor. Okay. Let me go back to Brandon F says no. And Mr. 33 wins. It was 33 wins. Heck, Big Sarge said, what did Sarge say? 37? What was it? 37? Something like that. Where was it? Comment reference about the Pistons. Detroit has a good squad. They don't need him. You don't need a generational talent, Deverick? Every team needs a generational talent. Sure. Sleep said, that's what I'm saying with the number 2 pick and down. Might as well trade that pick for Brown. Wow. Okay. So Sleep Art 11 underscore, you're saying unless the Rockets get Victor to trade the pick. That's what you're saying. Interesting. A lot to discuss, going forward these next few weeks. So if the Rockets don't win lottery and don't get the first pick, trade the pick. What I say to that? Would the number 2 pick be good enough for Boston for Jaylen Brown? We need Vic more than Detroit. We have great flavor in. All right, Derek. I'm not arguing with you, but I'm just saying if Detroit wins the lottery, that draft Victor Wembanyama. So many players in the league have said the Rockets have talent. Yes. They just need a vet. Who was willing to come besides Harden? No one said it publicly. Roll over the cap space the next season, get some free agents like the Lakers, and consolidate the talent we have. According to Blizzard Man right here. Only for Brown, caliber, and age. He'll be in his prime. Agreed. That's fair. Okay. And okay, I'll go put this up. Reading this comment from Brandon. If the Rockets really want Wemby, they do. They have to take a long look at having to trade either Jabari or Şengün. They also got to decide what to do with KPJ and KJ Martin. Well, yeah. And that's a great problem to have if they're in that position. Yeah. I believe the Rockets would keep Jabari over LP. Yes. LP's gotten better defensively. Yes. But overall upside, Jabari's got more upside than LP on both ends of the floor. Rockets believe that. I think a lot of folks believe that. Excuse me. I'm going to say this. Where have the national folks gone with the Rockets and the locker room problems and the chemistry problem? Where are they now? Where are they? Who fed them that narrative? I wonder who fed that, gave that to them. So, and they'll hire a new coach. Yep. LP has more value right now to the team. Yes, perhaps, which means he's got more value via trade. Yes. Yep. Right coach is imperative. No question. Right coach is imperative. Got to get it right. Got to get it right going forward in this stage of development, the stage of the rebuild, the stage of returning to the playoffs, and then competing for top four spot in the West, and of course, ultimately competing for championship. So let's see. News of the day rolled over. They'll be back on us after Silas is gone. Let me put that up there. Uh, Rockets got the heat. So what happened to the Rockets culture? The Rockets said they were creating in terms of defensive culture, Justin, because that's been an issue for a lot of the season. It's finally shown some signs of life these last few weeks. Sheila Harris, thank you very much for chiming in. That's a new name. Thank you for your question, your comment. Don't trade Alp or Jabari. Rockets need a playmaker to trade Alp. They don't have one. Well, they can get one. Flexibility, versatility for the Rockets. It's win lottery provides that. Would I be okay with Silas being on the staff? No. I mean, have a demotion? No. I don't believe he'd do that. No. Where do I think Alp would fit? Which teams would pursue him? I mean, I don't want to be cold about it. Thank you, Alan Luna. Thank you very much for your support and contribution. Where was it? But Blizzard Man, let's put it up there. As long as Rockets get great value for Alp in return, why should we care? why should you care? You know, I mean, you want to get maximum value in return for Alp. That's the objective. Don't trade in for a bag of rocks. And of course, this all is contingent on the Rockets winning the lottery. So that's it's all part of it. We'll know more naturally. We'll know more May 16th. Is bad effort on defense a calculated tanking strategy? Oh, Justin, I was there. I was there. I heard at media day. Rocket players, Rafael Stone. Culture from the Rocket players, defense. Hell, wasn't that the reason why they brought in Lionel Hollins? Where was that? Didn't see that anywhere this season. So that was disappointing. Mudbone, there's nothing wrong with Alpi coming off the bench. I think it makes the Rockets that much better. But the question is, would he be good with that? Would he still be able to perform and excel in his role coming off the bench? That's going forward. I think for a year, see how it works. I think it could work great. But come contract time, then what? Would he start? Would he change? And then, if the Rockets get great value for him, you got to do his best for the team. It should never be personal. You maintain professional relationships with all your players, treat them with respect. You take care of them physically and all those things. But also, they should understand if there is a trade proposal from another team that improves the Rockets got to do it. It's not personal. You got to do what's best for the team. Derek, I'm going with Nick Nurse and Udoka as the top two candidates to replace Stephen Silas. It's much better, way better than my fear of Jeff Van Gundy coming back here. So if they win the lottery and got Wemby, so a sleep art, you don't agree with or believe in Kevin Porter Jr. as a playmaker. That's what you're saying? He's getting better. He's not a true point guard. None of that. We all know that. He's gotten better. If Jalen Green continues to improve, the two of them, the last few games have combined for about 10 assists between them. up that a little bit, that could be the way to go. So, and yep, Al Peak was here coming off the bench. Yep. But Scott Brooks, yeah, no, it's possible, but no, I wouldn't like that. If you could get Nick Nurse or Udoka, get one of those two. KD's awareness defensively is bad. As help side defense, man ball relationship. Yep, that's an issue. I think Jabari defense, as a rookie, he's gotten better defensively. Part of defense, a huge part of defense is communication. Knowing where your teammates are at all times if you're on the perimeter, where they are in the pick and roll situations for the help side. All that elite defensive teams are on a string. I've said it before, but it's true. That string, they know where each other is at all times. Rock's got a long way to go to get to that, to be elite defensively. Long way to go. So, a lot of questions. Kevin Porter Jr. seems to be more comfortable as a point guard. He's more accepting in the role as point guard. He's still got room for improvement as point guard. He's done a better job with his assist to turnover ratio as point guard, which is, I'm big on that. That's important. But if the Rockets have an opportunity this offseason to upgrade at the position, they should do so. This team is not good enough right now as constructed to make the playoffs. They have to upgrade the roster. Y'all know it. They know it. They need to go do it. Are there any ex-Houston Rockets players who could be coaches for the Rockets? You got somebody in mind? Mario Elie in the past, I think, was an option. I think that's kind of gone by the wayside. KJ he does a great job moving without the ball. Yes. He does not do a great job of maintaining man-ball relationship on defense. So as good as he is on cutting off on offensively, he's as poor losing track of his man defensively. Yep. Sam Cassell, we'll see if he gets some shine. I have Sam ahead of Scotty Brooks for my list. I probably have Nurse Udoka ahead of Kenny Atkinson. But yeah, Sam Cassell probably be the ex-Rocket that I would have. Brandon, you don't believe that doesn't seem to be better at this point? Really, you believe that? You can't demote him. You have to trade him or start him. Well, if you got to upgrade at the position and bring him off the bench, let's think about it. If the Rockets upgrade their team, which they should, which they have to do, and you have KPJ and Al P coming off the bench along with Tari Eason, that's a strong 6, 7, 8 man right there. Right? Don't y'all think? Y'all agree with that? If the Rockets upgrade the roster and you have Al P, Kevin Porter Jr., and Tari Eason coming off the bench, that's starting 5 should be really good if you got those guys coming off the bench. I don't believe it was personal. So, who will be the upgrade? Well, could be Fred VanVleet. Could be James Harden. That's for the Rockets to decide. That's the question. So that's where y'all come in. Who do you wave your general manager hat? What do y'all think? I'm just putting it out there. The Rockets have to upgrade the roster. If they win the lottery, Wemby, I think, would upgrade the front court. They get James Harden. I'm not really sold on him, but he's upgraded over over Kevin Porter Jr. So, I mean, upgrading the roster, that's the key. Upgrading the starting five. That's the key. And then you just have those guys come off the bench and deal with it and see if they can accept their roles as long as the team is winning and competing for playoff runs and ultimately a championship. Some guys aren't happy with coming off the bench, even though they're getting consistent minutes game in, game out. Some guys want to start and don't believe they can be as effective in a bench role. Hey, the sleep art does not want Fred VanVleet. I'm just saying, you vets want to come to a losing team, not the ones that make a lot of money. No, no. Max money vets, no. That's why I'm saying come down in your expectations of vets. And that's where Rafael got to come in and figure that out. His assessment, his scouting department in terms of free agency, which vets fit and don't cost max dollars, but still upgrade the roster. That's part of his job. So we shall see how it all plays out. Again, if you missed the top of the show, got some good news to share finally for the Houston Roundball review. You know, the last few weeks have not been good at all. My opinion, Rogue Blue, I'm just going by what my man Kilico said. You know, I haven't asked him, I should probably ask him, if his 7 out of 10 has changed regarding Harden's return. I'm sticking with that. I don't believe it makes them better long term, but you know, so we'll see. The goal is to upgrade the roster, upgrade the starting five. You do that, you upgrade the bench. And this is true. This happens everywhere in the NBA. Guys who complain about minutes might not play on other teams. That's for every team. That's what I'm saying with the Rockets' young players. If the Rockets upgrade the starting five, which results in some of the current starters coming off the bench, then it's on those guys in the new roles to adapt and get used to it. If they don't like it, they can be gone. This is business. This is business. This is not personal. Should never be personal. This is business. As long as the organization treats the players with respect, keeps them informed as much as reasonable, within reason, then the players are getting well paid to do a job. And if that job means they're coming off the bench, then they need to excel in their job as a player coming off the bench. Period. Y'all know how I feel about all this. This is not earth-shattering. This should not be it's not a revelation. These guys are getting paid to do a job. If you don't like your role, come off the bench, then until we get an offer for you, you can sit your ass on the bench and collect your check. And we'll play somebody else who will take your minutes and do their best in that role. Draymond Green still wants a lot of money. Draymond still wants to get paid. And I don't see him coming to the Rockets because they're so far away from winning and competing for a championship. Doesn't make sense financially. I mean, Draymond would like to go back to Detroit, but he still wants a lot of money in Detroit. Not same boat as the Rockets. They're far away too. So, Alan Luna, new staff, and go put it up there as we wrap it up here on Let's Talk Houston Rockets. He should be going. New staff, new coach. Nick should be going. Yes, because I think it's also part of it. The Rockets have to upgrade the roster. Upgrade the starting five. They do that, they're upgrading the bench. They upgrade the bench. Nick is not part of the Rockets rotation. And hell, shouldn't be part of the team. So as long as they upgrade the roster, Nick should be gone. Period. my take, my opinion. This is true. NBA is about fit, not ego. Especially, unless, well, a little bit. Especially if your ego is more than your talent, because there's still some very talented players who got huge egos, but they deliver. There's still too many dudes in the NBA who believe there's something that they're not, and that their ego get in the way of them, and then they hurt themselves and the team. They got to go. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you very much. Went 61 minutes, about what I want to try to get to do here. Not even worry about the Rockets Wizards game tomorrow. Rockets wrap up the season tomorrow. Game is at noon, and then we're gonna have our Folks Talking Sports show at 6, where I'll make the announcement. Had a good meeting today to discuss plans going forward. Justin John Lucas, hey, like I said, I try to follow protocol, and certain folks over in the Rockets organization, one person in particular, I guess she doesn't respond to my text message or emails. So once season's over, we'll see if things change, because I have Luke's number. I can call Luke and do it if I want to. But following protocol, look what they got me. So, and this is still recording, so it's still live. So yeah, I said it. I'm putting it on the air. You know, I got the other person's. I got his number too, but I chose to follow the protocol. Protocol resulted in me getting no interview with those two. So I'm just putting it out there. Sometimes following protocol, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So if I do that come April 10th, there we go. Steve Art, thank you very much for your contribution. So I'm just putting it out there. If it comes up, you see it on YouTube, I did it my way. So let's keep that in mind. But all right, yes, tune in tomorrow for Folks Talking Sports for the bit of news that we're going to share. It's good for me. It's good for Andy Yanez. We believe it's going to help broaden our audience and our reach. So that's good for coverage of local teams, Houston teams going forward. But also, it's maybe the off season. Yep, Justin, 6:00 Sunday, 6:00 Central Time. Yes. So thank you for that. But we're also it is the off season officially, but we're still looking for sponsors, and I think our news will be of interest to potential sponsors because we're growing our audience. So just hit us up. Email address, I think I put it up there. Let me see. Where is my email address? Email address, one of them. Where is it? Email, there you go, right there. Email me if you're interested in being a sponsor of any of the shows here on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel. Platform audience is growing and will be growing. So thank you as always for your time. Thank you for your contributions via the super chat, super stickers. Keep those coming. As I say on other shows and platforms here on the Houston Roundball Review channel, onward and upward. So tune in, and you saw the news about Damian Dunn transferring to the Houston Cougars men's team. I may share some news about the women's team tomorrow. Got my eyes open on that yesterday. What's going on over there? But we'll talk about sports, the NBA playoffs, the Mavs, and what they did and what should be done, in our opinion, to them. But all that and more Sunday on the next edition of Folks Talking Sports here on the Houston Roundball Review. So until then, everybody take care. See you Sunday. Peace.